Have you, countless times, pursued the phantom named happiness? In the conventional definition, it always seems inextricably linked with ease, contentment, and a carefree life. You are taught that life's most noble goal is to reach the shore of happiness, where all worries will vanish, and you will be immersed in eternal tranquility and joy. Yet every time you think it's within reach, that so-called happiness slips away like sand through your fingers, leaving behind only a deeper emptiness and fatigue. Have you ever questioned whether this fervent pursuit of happiness is itself a futile race, leaving you oscillating between endless craving and disappointment? Have you felt the paradox of feeling even emptier after pursuing pleasure? We seem trapped in a grand societal lie, a lie that tells us only by avoiding all pain and discomfort can we reach true bliss. Yet it never mentions that true strength and the depth of life might precisely emerge from the conflicts and challenges we desperately try to avoid. Now, I ask you to temporarily suspend all your preconceived notions of what constitutes a good life. We will delve into the astonishing insights of the 19th century revolutionary philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who will reveal a radically different orientation for life. Life should not aim for happiness as its ultimate goal, but rather for power. This may sound counterintuitive, even ruthless, as the word power often carries negative connotations of control, oppression, and exploitation. Your mind might conjure images of autocratic monarchs, greedy politicians, or ruthless business tycoons. However, I urge you to consider, is this bullying and manipulation of the external world truly the ultimate expression of strength? Or is it instead a pathological compensation for inner barrenness and insecurity? Nietzsche would mercilessly point out that the desire to control others and to dominate them often reveals a deep-seated weakness and an inferiority complex. That fervent desire for external dominance is merely a clumsy attempt by those who have failed to overcome their own deficiencies to mask an inner void by external acquisition. This is by no means the power that Nietzsche advocated. What he referred to is a deeper, more fundamental, and more life-affirming force, a power that you embody and express within yourself. It is not a tool to dominate others, but an infinite excavation and expansion of your own life potential. So what exactly is this will to power that Nietzsche spoke of? It is not your ability to manipulate others, but an internal process of growth, expansion, and self-overcoming. Imagine that deep within you lies an inexhaustible spring of life, and the essence of this spring is to surge, to flow, to break through all obstacles, and to reach higher realms. This power is an inner drive that constantly propels you to transcend your past self, to elevate your capabilities and capacities, and to touch upon the broader possibilities of your life. It manifests in an athlete, pushing their limits day after day to become more resilient. A writer, meticulously refining their words to distill thought into eloquence. An artist, forging their craft through countless trials to perfectly embody inspiration in their work. These are vivid manifestations of the will to power within the individual life. You might ask, why cannot happiness be the ultimate goal? Nietzsche's answer is, happiness is not an end in itself, but a symptom or byproduct of the increase of power. When your inner strength continuously increases, when you persistently become more, happiness will follow like a shadow, without needing to be deliberately chased. This is not to say that happiness is unimportant, but rather that it exists on a different logical plane. It is not the ultimate aim of action, but a natural reward of the life process. Just like a tree whose goal is not to bloom, but to grow. When it absorbs enough nutrients and takes root deep enough, it will naturally become lush with branches and abundant with flowers. The flower is a manifestation of abundant vitality, not the ultimate purpose of the tree's growth. If one blindly pursues blooming while neglecting the growth of the roots, the flowers will eventually wither. To truly achieve this inner power advocated by Nietzsche, you must first set a personal goal that is meaningful and challenging. This is by no means a small goal that can be easily achieved, but a grand vision that can inspire you to pour your heart into it and ignite your potential. Secondly, this goal must promote your own health and well-being, or the well-being of others. Nietzsche's power is not blind expansion or destruction, but the healthy growth of life force. It should not be selfish, but capable of producing positive impact, whether on your mind and body, your community, or the truths you cherish. Thirdly, it must be conducive to your personal excellence. This does not demand that you become number one in a field, but rather that in pursuing this goal, you continuously elevate your skills, wisdom, and character, making you a superior, more complete person. Finally, and most crucially, this goal must be self-chosen, an expression of your individuality and authentic aspirations. It should not be an expectation set for you by society, family, or others, but your deepest, most primal desire. This means you must delve deep into yourself. Listen to your innermost calling, rather than merely drifting with the current and becoming subservient to the will of others. Do you dare to confront that true primal self and choose a thorny path that belongs only to you, even if it might be at odds with the prevailing trends of the world? As you bravely embark on this life journey guided by the will to power, you will inevitably encounter various obstacles, resistances, and suffering. You may feel waves of self-doubt washing over you, fear and anxiety following like shadows, and the temptation of laziness constantly eroding your will. The external world may also pose challenges. Scarcity of time or resources, the doubts and criticisms of others, and even health or relationship difficulties will stand like insurmountable boulders in your path. However, please do not view these as signs of misfortune or failure. This is one of Nietzsche's most profound and revolutionary insights. These obstacles, resistances, and sufferings are not curses you need to escape, but the most precious assets in your life, the sole opportunities for increasing your power. Imagine a seasoned swordsman whose skill was not acquired in a comfortable greenhouse, but honed through countless battles against formidable opponents. Every injury, every setback allowed him to understand the mysteries of swordsmanship more deeply and to control his strength more precisely. Similarly, for the seeker of power, when you confront resistance and exert your mind and body to overcome it, your power will increase accordingly. Your cognitive boundaries are expanded, your willpower is forged, and your spiritual resilience is tempered. These pains and challenges are like a gym custom built for you. Each lift makes you stronger and more powerful. Nietzsche sharply points out, the will to power can only express itself against resistances. It seeks what resists it. All expansion, incorporation, growth is striving against something that resists. A strong nature needs resistance. Hence, it seeks resistance. The difficulties you encounter are not punishments from fate, but life's invitation to you to participate in a grand game of resistance and victory. If you consistently engage in this game, an eternal cycle where a hindrance that is overcome is immediately followed by another hindrance, and the latter is again overcome, you will continuously increase your power and ultimately attain the goal you have set for yourself. This forms a continuous circle of power, an unending process of self-overcoming. However, be warned, once a goal is achieved or a capability enhanced, you must not stop there and become complacent. This is precisely Nietzsche's warning against ultimate happiness. Once you regard a certain achievement or state as the endpoint, the flow of your life will stagnate. Your power will cease to grow and may even begin to decline. Nietzsche demands that you transcend all that you have created, even your love for these creations.
Whatever I create, and however much I love it, soon I must oppose it, and my love, thus my will, wills it.
This may sound cruel, but it contains profound life wisdom. It means that you are not pursuing static achievements, but the dynamic process of achieving itself. What you need are fresh, new, perhaps even greater challenges. This philosophy of never being satisfied, of never ceasing to overcome, is precisely the essence of the circle of power. You will not find eternal satisfaction at a specific endpoint, because your existence itself is a dynamic, ever-flowing process. Happiness is not the destination. It is merely the spontaneous byproduct of power increasing and resistances being conquered within this process. When you feel your power growing, when you overcome one difficulty after another, that joy surging from within is the true meaning of happiness. It is not the goal, but the accompanying symptom. This profound understanding offers an unprecedented, down-to-earth solution to humanity's ancient problem of suffering. Why does humanity suffer? Nietzsche points out that the true curse of suffering is not suffering itself, but the meaninglessness of suffering. When you cannot find a transcendent meaning for your suffering, when you cannot understand its role in your life, suffering becomes a pure oppression, plunging you into nihilism, world weariness, and a hatred of life. You might pin your hopes on an illusory otherworld, whether a religious heaven or a social utopia, both of which attempt to devalue your present reality by promising a future free from pain. This illusion of a true world has caused countless individuals to succumb to waiting, abandoning the active affirmation and creation of their present lives. However, Nietzsche's ethics of power rejects such false solace. It confronts the pain and harshness of life directly and imbues them with the deepest meaning. Suffering arises from resistance, and resistance is an essential condition for the growth of power. Therefore, suffering is not a curse to be eliminated, but an indispensable cornerstone for the growth of power. You are not forced to endure suffering. Rather, you actively embrace it, because you know that every pain contains an opportunity for self-overcoming, and every struggle will forge a stronger you. This affirmation of suffering is a complete affirmation of life itself. It requires no leap of faith, no placing of hope in external saviors or future utopias. It is a radical, internal redemption that allows you to find meaning in pain, discover strength in struggle, and realize yourself in challenge. You are no longer passively subjected to the whims of fate, but become an active creator of your life's meaning. This way of living transforms suffering into refinement, adversity into motivation, and propels you forward in every breath, every choice, towards becoming more. It liberates you from the mire of passivity and stagnation, granting you the courage to act and the passion to create. It is not merely a philosophy, but an art of living, a way of transforming everything in life into a means of enhancing your own power. You will discover that true quote-unquote happiness does not await you at some end point, but spontaneously emerges in every moment of your continuous self-overcoming and increase in power. The ultimate insight is not that you find a fixed, quote, self and then remain there forever, enjoying static contentment. On the contrary, Nietzsche's will to power guides you towards an endless, dynamic process of creation, a magnificent journey of constant self-overcoming. Your identity is not a discovered entity, but a continually shaped, ever-renewing work of art. Your inner conflicts and diversity are not a pathology to be eradicated, but the source of your life's infinite potential, the raw material that allows you to redefine and sublimate yourself with every challenge. Imagine your life not as a still lake, but as an eternally flowing river, constantly eroding its bed, carving new channels, and finally merging into a wider ocean. You are not consumed by the erosion of the current. Instead, with every surge, you reveal new power and a more majestic momentum. This means that you must not only accept your inner chaos, but also learn to love it, because it is precisely this chaos that makes you so unique, so vibrant. Your goal, or master passion, is also not static. It will evolve and deepen as your life grows. Each self-exploration, each integration of internal contradictions injects new vitality into this river, making it surge more powerfully, carving out a more magnificent life landscape. True freedom is not freedom from all constraints, but the freedom to choose what you want to become. The freedom to embrace all resistances and sufferings that may appear in life and to transform them into fuel for your power. It means you are no longer a puppet of societal expectations, no longer a blind follower of historical impulses, but an active creator of your life's meaning. You leap from a passive state of being to an active state of becoming. You no longer fear exploring the abyss because you know that deep within the abyss lies your greatest strength and your truest light. This is a power infused with tragic aesthetics, acknowledging the suffering and absurdity of life itself, yet choosing to create with the highest will, to affirm life. Now close your eyes and feel that power surging from deep within you. It is calling you to sculpt your unique, unparalleled masterpiece, yourself. In every breath, every choice, live out that unparalleled splendor, becoming the one who is forever on the path of self-overcoming, constantly moving towards a greater existence.